problem with it. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. No, come find me. No, come find me. Listen to the words. Come find me. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off.
I ain't a hard guy to find. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Tuesday afternoon, which means MBR. It doesn't necessarily mean MBR, but it does. Welcome into Nothing But Rants, or as we like to call it, MBR around here, the show where I bring you topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about, like this one right here. You know, my favorite place to eat buffalo wings in this entire world is a place right by the crib. It's called Sidelines, rather. Okay. Buffalo sauce is popping. The ranch is great. The size of the wing is ideal. You know, not too big, not too small. Just perfect. Everything about the wing is perfect in general. But you know what I love most about those 10 wings hot with fries and extra ranch that I used to order before I started my diet this morning? You know what I love most about those wings from Sidelines right here on 92 is the fact that they're consistent. I mean, every single time I order that 10-piece wing with them fries and that ranch, I know exactly what I'm going to get. It's going to be chef's kiss perfection every single time. Every time I order it, consistency, folks, that's what I'm talking about. And that's all I think we ever really want. We want consistency. We want someone to show up every single day, do the same thing over and over again. We want the food that we love to taste the same way every time we go get it. We want our referees to be consistent all day long, right? So, dear referees, when you're in the Super Bowl, if you're going to let the boys play, when T. Higgins damn near rips Jalen Ramsey's face mask off, if you're going to let the boys play when Aaron Donald is lined up offsides on 4th and 1, then you better let the boys play and swallow the whistle when, you know, maybe Logan Wilson gets a little bit grabby on the goal line. Okay, like if you're gonna do those things and snap one, do them on snap 101, right? Consistency, that's all we want. That's all we've ever asked for. Whether you're calling a tight game where there's no bull crap, everything's called. If it's a penalty, it's called. Or whether you're letting the boys play, be consistent. Do the same thing quarter one, snap one, as you do quarter 4 or into overtime or whatever it is in these critical situations. And I know it's hard. Bullets are flying. You're in the daggum Super Bowl, right? Consistency is all we ask for. That's it. That's all we ever want. We want that 10-piece wing, that fry, and that ranch to taste exactly how we thought it was going to taste, or at least how you portrayed it was supposed to taste the first time we had it, right? Same thing when it comes to referees in big games like Super Bowls. All you want is consistency. If you're going to swallow your whistle on a blatant offensive pass interference to start the football game and give up a 75-yard touchdown, then swallow your whistle late in the football game as well. I think that's what kind of set people off when it comes to the referees during the Super Bowl. And I think that's what sets people off in general in life. We come to expect one thing. You portray it to be one thing. Keep it that thing. Don't change the narrative. Don't change the book. Appreciate you guys being in here today. Please support the show and support the broadcast by hitting that thumbs up button if you have found us over on YouTube. If you're not already, please subscribe. Hit that little subscribe button and the alerts button. While we're asking for your support, let's throw some love to today's keynote sponsor. That is Gramco. That one, I'm always in the wrong corner. That one over here. Get your mind right with Gramco Delta 8 products, from gummies to wake and bake coffee. My favorite. You know how I can't live without that coffee. This company has something for everyone. Shipping is quick and discreet and easy. Products are hemp-derived and all start with Gramco's own plants. Save 25% with promo code Brooks25 today over on the Gramco.com. Link in the bio underneath the video description. Appreciate you guys for being here today. We've got a loaded show for you today. I'm going to do my best to try to make the case for Georgia to repeat as national champions in 2022, something that's only happened twice in the last 35 years of college football, rather, believe it or not. So we'll talk about that to close the show. So stick around. You're going to want to know those ingredients for a repeat of a national title. We're going to debate actually not really debate. We're kind of going to give you our stance, our opinion on whether or not Matthew Stafford is a Hall of Famer. Would love your comments and thoughts on that as well on today's broadcast. And I will tell you what I learned about Georgia football from watching the Super Bowl Sunday night. And that's what we're going to start the show with. You know, it's pretty interesting. The entire second half, the entire second half of the Rams' defensive game plan. Do you know what it was? The sole intentions, all they cared about when they sat down at halftime and said, what adjustments do we need to make? I guarantee you their only thought process was, how do we get 99 as many one-on-one opportunities as we humanly possibly can in this second half? Every single time we need a play, how do we make sure Aaron Donald's in a one-on-one situation that we know he can win? When it's 4th and 1 and we need a pressure, we need a sack, we need to get off the field, how do we make sure Aaron Donald's in a one-on-one situation, right? From over fronts to walked up 5-man looks to simulated pressures, it was all smoke and mirrors the entire second half against Cincinnati on Sunday night, designed and derived to make sure Aaron Donald was by himself in a one-on-one opportunity that he can go win, right? How about the last drive offensively for the Rams? So we know Aaron Donald led to the win, right? But how about the drive to take the lead? Okay, their best player, who is it? We all know. It's Cooper Kupp. We're here to talk about Matt Stafford today, and we will, but their best player offensively is Cooper Kupp. You know that. You watched that. Best receiving season in the history of the NFL, broke Jerry Rice's record, right? So if Cooper Kupp's the best player on your offense, what do you do on the game-winning drive or the drive that goes to put you up on the lead, on the scoreboard in the Super Bowl? By God, you get him the ball. Whether or not he's double covered, triple covered, don't matter. You feed 10 the ball, okay? So the biggest play of the game, the no-look pass, boom, Cooper Kupp, right? But even before that, 4th and 1. 4th and 1, ball, I believe, on their own 35, got to have it. What do? End around jet sweep, Cooper Kupp. Put the ball in the hands of your best players. You bet on the dudes that got you there, okay? Even on the NFL level, and especially on the college level, where Georgia will match up with 95% of their opponents and have technically, per the rankings, per the ratings, per the evaluations, per the scouting departments, has the best level of talent. They got the best dudes on the field 95% of the time that they play. So you bet on the dudes. That's what I learned watching Sunday night. And for that matter, it's something that one of the greatest of all time has long been figured out, and that's Nick Saban. I crunched some numbers this morning. This stuff is staggering, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just talk about it from the offensive perspective, okay? Georgia recruits running backs pretty damn good, right? Some would say the best. Some would say they're RBU, running back university, right? I'd say Bama recruits the running back position pretty daggone well too. They put guys out in the league all the time at the running back position. They're really good at it. Let's go take the leading carrier for both of these football teams, right? When we're talking about betting on the dudes, well, go check the box score. You'll see who's betting on their guys. Well, over the last 3 seasons, 21, 20, and 19, condensed season in 2020, but nonetheless, over the last 3 seasons, the lead back at Alabama has accounted for 731 carries. At Georgia, RBU, they split the difference. They got 500 carries for the lead back in each singular season when you add them up over a 3-year span. So that's 231 more carries, or an entire season's worth of a workload at Georgia for one player at Alabama. Let's talk about the receiver position, right? Let's talk about the receiver position. By the way, both teams throw it, run it about 50-50. The splits are relatively the same when it comes to percentage of time throwing the football. Top 3 receivers at Alabama the last 3 years have accounted for 618 balls. They've caught 618 passes over the last 3 years. The top 3 leading candidates. Georgia's top 3 receivers of the last 3 years have accumulated 327 receptions. So what am I telling you? What do the numbers mean? Well, the numbers mean Alabama is recruiting at an elite level. They're signing the same amount of free agencies in the NFL market that you are, Georgia. They got the best roster in the country, or at least the top 3 roster, top to bottom, right? You do too. You've recruited as well, if not better than Alabama over the last 4 years. What are they doing differently? They're feeding their dudes 100%. They have alpha dogs. The other guys sit on the bench. If they don't like it, they can stick around and wait their turn. Brian Robinson Jr., or they can get gone. Okay? Jeremy Ford up at Cincinnati. You can either be a dude, be the dude, wait your turn to be the dude, or you can go to Georgia where we kind of just spread the love. Everybody just kind of is mediocrely happy where we don't have a guy. Start feeding your dudes. And this year, by God, they did. They fed the hell out of Brock Bowers last year. So that's what I learned about the Super Bowl. When it comes to, hey, how do we win? Find your best players, make sure they're on the field, give them the ball, or give them the opportunity to impact the game. That's how you win critical games late in the season, right? And I think Georgia is turning that leaf. I think they are starting to move more towards feeding the dudes, which is what I think it takes to be a year in, year out national title contender in college football. Find your best players and run them in, not into the ground, but feed them. Make sure they're bell cows. That's what college football is all about. Hell, that's what NFL football is all about. Find the guy that gives you the best chance to win and make sure he's getting an opportunity to do that over and over and over and over again right there. We got a question from Canty. So Kirby doesn't have access to those stats. He definitely does. It's more of a method or a theory or a deserve, or not necessarily a culture, but like how they run their business. They run their business at Georgia with feeding everyone carries, feeding everyone touches, getting everyone some love. Where at Bama, they feed 5 guys, right? They feed a running back, 3 receivers, and a Q. That's it. Ain't nobody else eating over there. Not since 2018 when they did a 3-headed monster at the running back position. They have not done this. Hey, everybody gets some love. Everybody gets some run. Everybody gets some touches. Nah, feed the dudes. That's what you do. You feed the guys that you recruited heavily and that can start for your football program. Leave them on the field and make them go out there and produce. And then when they go to the NFL, because they have produced, next guy steps right in line, right? And injuries, all that play a role, but feed the dudes. All right. On to our next topic, which obviously is the Matt Stafford Hall of Fame discussion. Guys, today we're going to be quick. If you can't tell, my voice will steadily and slowly decrease as we go. So just, bear with me here. We've been dealing with some head cold stuff for the last couple of days, but everyone wants to talk about whether or not, or give their opinion rather, on whether or not Matthew Stafford is a quote unquote Hall of Famer. Okay. First off, when it comes to discussions like this, which are, let's be honest, opinion-based discussions, we'll start that over. First off, when it comes to any discussion like this, discussions that are opinion-based discussions, I find it important to clarify definitions, right? AKA lay the ground rules for this impending discussion. So how do you define Hall of Famer? Here's how I define Hall of Famer. Quote, a person or player that has impacted the sport in such a fashion where the history books of the sport, the story arc of the sport cannot be told without that individual's positive impact on the game. Okay, so that's my definition. That's what I came up with this morning. If you can't tell the story of the sport without that person, they might be deemed as a Hall of Famer, or at least having made a Hall of Fame impact. Additionally, okay, a little caveat here. I find it extremely, extremely necessary to gauge your peers. I'm not talking about journalists. I'm talking about football players or baseball, whatever the Hall of Fame is. I find it extremely necessary to gauge your peers and get their thoughts on your impact on the game as well. This is not my personal opinion alone as a quote-unquote Hall of Fame voter or someone who has an opinion about the Hall of Fame. I don't think it should be that sole purpose or that sole person's opinion. It should be a cultivation, right? An amalgamation of all the agreed-upon opinions, particularly player-based opinions of that specific potential inductee. Okay? We all get it. Basically, in summation, can I write the history of the sport without you? Then no, you're not a Hall of Famer. Do your peers think you're a Hall of Famer? If yes or no, that depends, or that determines how we go about this discussion. So let's apply this definition and this caveat of a definition to Matthew Stafford, right? Okay, so let's look at it statistically speaking. Okay, history books are mostly stat-based, right? Stat-based, what we can quantify, what we can put numbers on, and not just slap opinions upon, right? Numbers without context are a little bit less important, so we'll add some context to you. I'm going to tell you right now, you can't write the history books of the NFL without Matthew Stafford. You won't be able to. He's 12 years into his career, and he's 12th all-time in yards. He's 12th all-time in touchdowns. He's 4th all-time in yards per game. He's 5th all-time in fourth quarter comebacks with 34. Okay, so you will not ever find a history book of the NFL that does not have Matthew Stafford's name littered all over it, all over that sucker. So no, you won't win the statistical battle in terms of, is Matthew Stafford a Hall of Famer? The answer is yes. Some people, I forgot his name, some people call him Matt Stat Padford, which I don't believe that to be the case. This is a dude that racked up stats in Detroit for a very, very long time. So statistically speaking, you can't write the history books without Matt Stafford. Let's talk about just the lineage of the sport. Well, now you got a Super Bowl, right? Number 1 overall draft pick, do your thing, 11 years in Detroit, 12th year, you go out to LA, you win a Super Bowl, right? So now we can't write the history books at all. Not just the statistical measures. Always have trouble with that word. Not just the statistical measures, but you also have now the annuals, right? The annals of history say that Matthew Stafford is meaningful in this sport. He matters. As for his peers, okay, I will never forget this clip. It is courtesy. Let me throw some shouts to the Pat McAfee show. Okay, it is courtesy, this sound rather, is courtesy of the Pat McAfee show. And this was, I believe, this was back in November of 2020, okay? This was right after, Patty Mahomes was doing his thing, all of his no-look passes, right? And Aaron Rodgers was on the McAfee show and basically said, like, hey, look, he didn't invent this. We've been doing this for a while, making light of it. And then he gave his credits and his due and his little tip of the cap to number 9 out in Detroit. I want you to listen to the way what most people would consider the most talented player to ever play the position in Aaron Rodgers. You can argue about it all you want. He's not the most accomplished, but he certainly is the most talented. Okay. Listen to the way this guy talks about Matt Stafford. You want to talk about winning the respect of your peers? Listen to this.
Late in the game, they wouldn't show up because I play for the Packers, but I had a pretty sweet no-looker. Did Devontae on the last drive that I'd kind of set up for a few plays because Darius is so athletic side to side. He loves reading your eyes, and I just kind of came back and looked left, and then looked outside him on the right and threw it behind him to.
Go get him! I'm so thankful Patrick Mahomes brought that into the NFL.
I know.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Good for him.
Yeah, I know.
This part right here.
I will say this, a guy who probably doesn't get anywhere near the credit.
Brett.
We're doing shit like that all the time. He wears number 9 and plays in Detroit. Okay. That dude, what he does with the ball, it's impressive. It's really, really impressive. And, I know Dan Orlovsky will highlight some stuff from time to time, sure, because they play together and they're good friends, which he should. But that dude is throwing crazy no-lookers all the time. Like, and he can throw from any arm angle. Like, I don't think he gets, maybe it's Detroit, maybe it's, based on, they haven't,
They just got lost 20 to nothing to the Panthers. They just lost 20 to nothing to the Panthers. I mean, that's.
I know. But they had some guys out, Pat.
All right. So bottom line here, one of the GOATs just told you that there are very few more talented with the arm angle, the slots, the no-look passes. He told you this dude's been doing no-look passes for years out there in Detroit. You just now saw the biggest one ever in the Super Bowl, but he's been doing it for years. Been doing it for a decade, okay? So as for his peers are right there with him. Look, I'm here to tell you right now, if Matt Stafford is not a Hall of Famer, guess who else isn't? Phillip Rivers. Loaded with stats. Never, ever won. Ever. Never, ever, ever won. Nuh-uh. If Matt Stafford ain't a Hall of Famer, Phillip Rivers ain't a Hall of Famer. You know what? If Matt Stafford ain't a Hall of Famer, Eli Manning could take his Manning name out the Hall of Fame because it ain't going to happen. Matt Ryan, not a Hall of Famer. And this one's really going to get y'all. You know how many years Russell Wilson's been in the league? Russell Wilson's been in the league 10 years. Matt Stafford's been in the league for 12. Do yourself a favor. Go look at the record books. Go look at that. Matt Stafford's got about 10,000 more passing yards. He's got about 80 more touchdown passes. Okay. He's got far more fourth quarter comebacks. Statistically speaking, on paper, if you didn't have all the narrative, right? You didn't have all the narrative. Both guys got one Super Bowl. One guy's got 30 or 49,000 yards. 49,000 yards. The other one has 37,000. One of them played in Seattle and was the belle of the ball. And by the way, won his Super Bowl as a game manager. We don't throw that one out there, do we? But Russell Wilson gets all the talk. Everybody's always fighting for Russell Wilson to win an MVP because he manages to get Seattle under Pete Carroll, which is such an unstable situation, to an 11-win season. And people want to go out there and fight for Russell Wilson to get an MVP. He doesn't have one. Neither does Matt Stafford. If Matt Stafford isn't a Hall of Famer, please tell me who is. And if you're just going to limit it to Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Drew Brees for this generation of great quarterback play, then I'm sorry. You missed the boat. You missed the boat on a decade and a half of really, really good quarterback play, particularly from a dude that played in Detroit for a long time and was racking it up. Again, if this dude ain't a Hall of Famer, who is at that position? Who is? In my opinion, it didn't even take the Super Bowl. It really didn't. Look at the history of the sport. You cannot write it without Matthew Stafford. All right, I want to give a shout-out right here. Not necessarily a shout-out. In the business, we call this a call to action. Real nice plaque here. Look. Nice wood. You can hang it up in your house, all that good stuff. It's from Fanatics, connoting the national championship. I am giving this away, okay? I am giving this away to one lucky fan, one lucky listener, whatever it is. Here's how you do it, okay? You need to follow Gramco on Twitter and social media, okay? At The Gramco on Twitter, and I believe over on Instagram as well. Follow them first and foremost. Of course, follow me, but I would assume that's a prerequisite at this point. Okay, follow them. I need you to purchase some of that good, okay, some of that good Delta 8. I'm hollering at these gummies. I got some of these, disposable vapes and cartridges and whatnot. Okay, make a purchase, show proof of purchase, and hit me on the replies over on Twitter with the nice fancy picture of my fat face and this nice awardable plaque. Okay, at the end of the week, we'll give it away. One lucky winner. There you go. I am going to tell you this much. I forget his name, but I think he goes by Q3 over on Twitter. He's got the biggest purchase over on Gramco right now, and he is the leader in the clubhouse, okay? We're talking $69 of that fine Delta 8 product, and he might just get it for finding a way to get a final, tally, final total on his checkout card after the promo code Brooks, right? After Brooks 25 was put in there, total came right down to $69 even. That's money in the bank right there. He might end up winning that, but hey, if someone can top it, maybe a larger purchase or anything like that, we'll holler at you with that nice plaque. It is nice, man. I've seen a lot of people order them. If you want one of them, we will. We also got a towel. Whoever wins, I guess I'll just let you pick from the merch. We got, some national championship merch that we got to give out. So that is our giveaway. We don't do a lot of giveaways around here. Feel free to hop in there and support the sponsor, man. Again, thegramco.com. Use promo code Brooks25 for 25% off today. All right, last segment of the day. Okay, everybody wants to know. Most people are already knocking it off. Probably not going to happen. Already counting your chickens before they hatch. Will Georgia have a chance to repeat as national title winners in 2022? I know it's a lot to ask for. A little bit greedy, right? Seems a little bit greedy. Win your first title in 41 years, and you're sitting here, and you got an analyst saying, hey, there is a recipe and a way for them to win too. I'm not selling you a bunch of sunshine and rainbows. I do think there's a possibility that this can happen, so let's lay the groundwork. I think you learn best from these situations by studying history, trying to apply how it worked for someone who actually has done it, especially when we're talking about something that's only been done twice in the last 35 years of a sport, okay? In terms of repeating as national title winners, Nebraska in 94-95, Alabama in 11-12. That's it. That's it for the last 35 years of college football. Those are the only two repeaters. First off, okay, let's just go ahead and knock this one out the way. Any world of college football in which Nebraska is dominating, probably not applicable to this modern age of college football. So we're going to throw 94-95 out. No offense to the wing tee offense. No offense to the Cornhuskers, but we ain't shucking corn around here. We shucking the ball around all over the yard. All right, you follow me? We're going to throw 94-95 out because, I was just born. Nobody really cares. Alabama, 11-12. That's what we're going to learn from, okay? So let's take a look at that Alabama team. I got 4 areas, 4 criterias, 4 check boxes that you got to make in order to do this from the brief observation that I have and remembrance from this football team or these football teams that repeated in 11-12. Number 1, you got to get some help from the rest of the college football world. You have to, okay? Even in nowadays terms in the playoffs, and we'll talk about it here in a little bit. In the days of the BCS, though, oh my God, You barely could afford to lose. If you did, you had to hope that other people, like literally everyone else, except for maybe one team, if there were two teams that were undefeated, done, playing for a national title, if they were Power 5 football teams. Okay. In the BCS era, if you lost a single game, you had to hope that everyone else lost and their loss was uglier than yours to get into a national title game. In 2011, Bama had the famous 9-6 loss at home to LSU. They ended up re-racking it for a natty and beating them. You guys remember that one. In 2012, they lost to Johnny Football at home and still got into a title game where they boat raced a really, really bad Notre Dame team and a team that was propped up, probably shouldn't have been there. Okay, so they got a tremendous amount of help in both 11 and 12, so much so that in 2011, there was nobody good enough for them to even play or even qualify for a national title. So they just re-racked it with LSU. Okay. And in 2012, the world of college football and the landscape of college football was so barren and so desolate that they had to go to Notre Dame and get beat by 28 points in the national title game. Okay. Monte Te'o didn't show up, neither did his girlfriend. You feel me? So, like, they got a bunch of help those 2011, 2012 years from the rest of the college football world. That is rule number one. Rule number two, you got to have elite recruiting. This one's easy, right? This is a no-brainer, and it's obvious. But when you win titles, your roster gets depleted. The only way to replace it at that point in time, for sure, and even so much now, but you got their transfer portal to help out, you got to recruit at a really, really high level. Alabama, since 2009, 2 years after Saban had taken over, they recruited at a top 3 level pretty much on in. Like for the last 13 years, they've been a top 3 recruiting level, period, point blank. Every once in a while, they'll slip to 4, maybe 5 when all hell's breaking loose and the sky is falling. But most of the time, they're a top 3 recruiter. So you got to have elite recruiting. All right. Number 3, you got to have what I call a repeatable identity. How you won the title the first year, you might want to be able to repeat it, or at least in this case, they did, repeat it in the next year. Right? In 2011, they were a run-dominant, turnover-free, defensive-led football team. Both seasons they were. In 2011, they allowed 8.2 points per game. In 2012, they allowed 10.9 points per game. Both led the nation by far. So they were a really defensive-led football team. And they were a 65% run to 35% pass offense both seasons. They were a keep time of possession, let's play turnover-free football, dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and control the clock, right? That's what they did. Suffocate opponents for 26 games on their way to 2 national titles. So that's rule number 3. Got to have a repeatable identity. Rule number 4, young dudes got to step up in year 2. They absolutely do. Names like C.J. Mosley, Trey DePriest, DeMarcus Milliner, Kenyon Drake, Clinton Dix, all those guys were on campus in 2011. All those guys played a very, very minor role as young football players in the first national championship. In 2012, they were keynote football players. Right? So the young players in 2011 got a little taste, jumped up in 2012, and balled out. So the 4 criteria to repeat in modern college football, in my opinion: get some help from the rest of the college football world. 2, elite recruiting. Number 3, you got to have a repeatable identity. And number 4, young dudes got to step up. So let's talk about it as we close today's show right under the 30-minute mark. Believe it or not, can't believe I did this. How does Georgia check all these boxes? Well, number 1, let's look around the college football landscape, just a preliminary scan right here as we sit here in February. We know OSU is going to be really, really good. Ohio State, they're going to be really, really good with C.J. Stroud. Okay, so you can go on and put that one in there. Unless all hell breaks loose, they're going to be really, really good. Bama, going to be stout again. You already know that, right? So we got 2 teams that we can identify as college football worthy, right? College football playoff worthy. Okay, outside of that, Notre Dame has a rankless schedule outside of Clemson. They play Clemson and a bunch of USCs, Navies, Virginias. Okay, it ain't Murderer's Row. They lose 1 game, out, done. Not going to make a college football playoff. So they'll handle themselves. The ACC, that's going to eat itself. Okay, Clemson, unless they return to form, which is a possibility, unless Clemson returns to form, the ACC is going to eat itself. Spare me any discussions of the Pac-12 or Big 12. Mediocrity eats itself. Okay, mediocrity will eat itself. There is not an 11-1 football team in either of those conferences. I don't believe. There is not a 12-0 football team in either of those conferences right now. I don't think so. Not on the surface. Okay, can you say Oklahoma's going to run the table next year? Oklahoma State, Texas, Oregon, Utah. Okay, can you find me USC? Can you find me a Pac-12 or a Big 12 football team that's going to run the table next year? I would say no. They're going to eat themselves. So You're going to get some luck around college football. I believe it is shaking up like you're going to get some luck around the world of college football next year. I can't find 4 preseason college football playoff worthy football teams, and you probably can't either. Okay, so they're going to get their help. Okay, number 2, you got to recruit. Duh. They've recruited really, really well. We'll spare some time here. Ain't even got to talk about it. Number 3, repeatable identity. Okay, will this defense be as historic as they were last year? No. Hell no. We're going to let you know, hell no. Not going to be as good as they were this year. Okay, but can they be 85% as good? Probably. Alabama was 85 to 90% as good on defense in 2012 as they were historically great in 2011. You can repeat that. You can be 85% as good in 2022 as you were in 2021. I believe that. You go from giving up 10.6 points per game to maybe 12. Still damn good defense. Still top 1, maybe top 2 in college football. I think that's definitely repeatable in terms of identity. Offensive production's all there. Yeah, you got to replace a couple offensive linemen, but in terms of the skill guys, and yeah, you got to replace a couple running backs, but I mean, your RBU, right? We just talked about that. So offensive-wise, I think there's a potential where, you're going to lose 15% productivity, efficiency, overall domination defensively. Is there a potential where you pick up 15% efficiency, explosiveness, yards per game, points per game on offense? Yeah. I think there's a 100% chance that you could do that. There is definitely a shot that Georgia could improve 15, 20% offensively in their 3rd year, shaping up to be under Todd Monken as the offensive coordinator. Holding on to that dude this offseason if it ends up happening, which it looks like it's shaping up like it's going to. My God. All right, number 4, we told you, young dudes got to step up. Let me rattle some names off for you, and you guys let me know if you think these dudes are going to step up in 2022. How about a guy by the name of Jalen Carter? By the way, everybody knows him. Everybody knows he's a freak. The dude has not started a single game in his college career. Not one. Devontae Wyatt started over him. Jordan Davis started over him. Okay. Just dudes in front of him. Now, guess what? He is the show. He is the show. And he's going to put one on next year. Broderick Jones. Yeah, young 5-star. I called him a top 15 pick out of high school. Out of Lithonia. That's a dude. Probably going to step up. How about a combination, a trilogy? Jamon Dumas-Johnson, Xavier Sori, Smile Mondon. One of them dudes is going to have a CJ Mosley type of impact in year 2, right? Probably going to be Jamon Dumas-Johnson. Shaping up to be. My guy out of high school, by the way. Kendall Milton, Kenny McIntosh. You waited around. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn to eat, right? Just like Kenny and Drake did in 2012. Now it's your time to go get your money. How about a name like A.D. Mitchell? Freshman to sophomore jump. Probably could expect it to be pretty big, right? How about Lad McConkey? Redshirt freshman All-American, freshman All-ACC or All-SEC last year. You think he's got potential to make a jump? I would say so, right? I would say so. These are all players that if Georgia is going to have a chance to repeat, these are players that have to make a leap from last year to this year, right? National champions to repeat national champions. If it's going to happen, it's going to come on the development on the backs of those several names I mentioned, while also getting some additional, wow, where'd this guy come from? Zion Log, been on the roster 3 years, just now getting an opportunity to start, right? Oh my God, Robert Beal, 6.5 sacks. Where'd that come from? Just got an opportunity to really start. Those things have to happen if you're going to make a chance to run for a national title. Again, to repeat as defending titles. I'm not saying this is going to happen. In fact, it's statistically improbable, probably not going to happen. But I'm just sitting here telling you in February 15th, a day after Valentine's Day, I'm swooning you. I'm writing you a love letter telling you, hey, I can write you a narrative right now that looks like Georgia repeating as national title winners. I sure as hell can. It's right there. Yeah, I do think you'll get some luck from the world of college football. I do think you've recruited at a top 3 level. Duh. I do think you have a repeatable identity. Maybe not to the efficiency that you had last year, but there's some plus minuses on both sides that I could see. I do see young dudes absolutely stepping up. I do. All those things are very, very plausible. Will they happen? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Appreciate you guys for sticking around. Hit that thumbs up button before you head out. And you have to support those who support us. Head over to thegramco.com and get your orders in. And if you do, you can win some merch, baby. We're going to give it away. Appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you next time.